Okay, so first of all, I just want to say this may be a kind of sensitive topic for some people, so if you do have an issue or anything, please feel free to step outside. Promise I won't be offended. So my topic today is the effects of divorce on children. My personal experience is that both of my parents were previously divorced between getting married to each other. My dad had two daughters, both around 15 years old at the time, and my mom had no children. When my parents got married and had my brother and I, both of my sisters kind of wanted nothing to do with us. They were a little standoffish, they had a little bit of some harsh emotions, and it took me a long time to understand why this was. When I was old enough to understand what divorce truly was, it all kind of made sense why they felt this way. It did take some time to cope, but it was definitely worth it, and my family is stronger than ever. Divorce is a common ordeal, and it's commonly misunderstood. Throughout my speech, I will discuss the effects of divorce on children as a whole, as well as the effects from mothers post-divorce and fathers' involvement post-divorce. First of all, I want to talk about the misconception of divorce. Divorce isn't just for parents. It takes a huge toll on children. Prior to 1970, there wasn't a lot of information on divorce, according to the children's point of views. In Rappaport's article, Deconstructing the Impact of Divorce on Children, he noted that post-1970s, a lot of information about children's emotions post-divorce came out. This was used not only in the health world, but the law world as well. J.E. Lansford, in Parental Divorce and Children's Adjustment, noted the reason for this usage in law. He stated that information on children's emotions post-divorce is used in not only child support, who figures out who gets custody, and also the reason for the divorce as a whole. Currently in the United States, the average length of a marriage is about 8 years, and about 50% of marriages end in divorce. That means if you take a minute to look around the room right now, about half of the people in this room will have a marriage that will end in divorce. Down to it, divorce takes a huge toll on children. In a research study done by Hartnett in Divorce and Marital Strife and Their Effects on Children, he focused on more of the long-term effects. He noted that 12 to 18 months post a divorce, children's mental status decreases tremendously. Fast forward to 5 years, he found that although some children do heal and cope with the divorce of their parents, 1/3 of the children he researched had emotional distress that worsened. He also found that 1/3 of the children found themselves to be the center of their parents' fights, which put another mental toll on them. No matter where the children stood, they all found that they wished that their parents would get remarried at some point. Contrary to the long term, there's also effects that are great from short term, if not more detrimental than long term. Many kids felt guilt for their parents' divorce as if it was their fault and that they were to blame, as well as fear of abandonment. They felt that if their parents would abandon each other, then what's not the reason for themselves to be abandoned from their parents? I believe that this is almost more serious in short term than long term because if you don't take care of the short-term effects, then it'll only worsen long-term. Holroyd and Shepard performed a study in their research for their article, Parental Separation Effects on Children. They studied 28 children, ages 5 to 12, post-divorce. They focused on the children's emotions and had nothing to do with the parent side of things. They found that 79.6% of kids, of girls found themselves to be extremely unhappy post their parents' divorce. They put this emotion towards internalizing fears, such as fear of the dark, they were defiant, they clung to everyone, whereas 53.3% of boys were unhappy post their parents' divorce, but turning these emotions into physical attributes, such as wetting the bed, they got into fights, they were more aggressive, and things like that. On top of the effects of divorce as a whole on the child, the mother has a major effect post-divorce involvement. According to the U.S. Census Bureau of 2009, about 80% of single mothers are employed. Take this, with 75% of children living with their mothers post-divorce, it means that a lot of time isn't spent with their kids. This causes a burden financially and in time from the mothers to their children. Single working mothers have a higher rate of depression, and their kids are higher rates of going through great extents to get attention. The mothers feel guilt for not having enough money for higher education, better resources, and external events and opportunities for their children. This puts their children at a lower socioeconomic status, which harms them in the long run. Jenny E. Beard, in Job Displacement Among Single Mothers, said, "We should protect disadvantaged children because they have not made their choices that have resulted in their socioeconomic conditions." She performed a research study that found kids living with single mothers had a less lack of appetite. They tended to not complete high school or college. Their ability to hold a job decreased, and their mental health as a whole decreased. Mothers aren't the only ones post-divorce that have a great effect on their children. Fathers' involvement post-divorce also plays a large role. As you can see here, 23.9 million kids live without their fathers. Claire Noel Miller referenced this in her article, Repartnering Following Divorce. She noted that fathers tend to lose their loyalty to their previous marriages and their kids, and they tend to move on and start a whole new life, never really looking back. Though this isn't the case for everyone, it is a lot. Their kids from previous marriages tend to seek attention and go through great extents to do so. That's why it makes sense when you see that 63% of teen suicides and 71% of high school dropouts come from homes without a father involved. In conclusion, no divorce is the same. Every child is affected differently by their outcomes of divorce. Personally, I can say that I've seen my own sisters and family go through this, and they've become part of the statistics that I've referenced in this speech. Hopefully, you can take away a new sense of sympathy for those going through this, and knowledge that the healing time is worth it.